A Plaguelands Media production.
Hey everyone, this is Hugh from Plaguelands Media bringing you another book review today. This time it is Song of the Saurials, Book 3 in the Finders Stone Trilogy by Kate Novak and Jeff Grubb. Absolutely love the cover to this. We have Finder Wervenspur, Elias, and Grift, the Saurial wizard, right there on the cover. Now, I read this book when it first came out. I was in high school. The Finders Stone Trilogy, one of my all-time favorite Dungeons & Dragons novel trilogies. Azure Bonds, The Wervenspur, which I've read and reviewed both of those on this very channel. And this was the third one. And in my opinion, this was the best. The reason I loved it so much was one aspect of the story, and that is Moanda, the god of rot and death and decay. Well, not necessarily death, but rot and decay. You'll get the picture. So this brings back all the characters. Some of them were kind of missing in the Wervenspur, but you get everyone back together again for one last finale, and it is glorious. So, with that said, I'm just going to get right into the next episode of...
Read a fucking book. 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 People.
Okay, so what is great about this book is that it brings in other characters from Forgotten Realms lore and mythology, like Elminster and Lord Morngrim. And they all have a part to play in the story, which is primarily about the redemption of the nameless bard from Azure Bonds, otherwise known as Finder Wervenspur. We start out at a trial. He was condemned for his crimes many hundreds of years ago. And after the events of Azure Bonds, the Harpers have decided to rehear his case. And Elminster has stepped up to kind of speak on Finder's behalf. There are three judges. There is a priestess called Morala. Breck Orcsbane is a ranger. And Kyre, I believe, is a ranger / bard. During the trial, Elminster is teleported away and Grift is put in his place. That is Grift there on the cover, that giant dinosaur-looking thing. And he is a Saurial wizard who has kind of come here to save his tribe, so to speak. We find out that Breck is in love with Kyre. Kyre has been taken over by Moanda, who, although his body was destroyed in the realms in Azure Bonds, went to the Saurials' homeworld and basically enslaved them all, dragged them through the abyss, through Tartarus, and brought them out into the realms themselves. So Grift is trying to help his people, but everyone kind of interprets it differently. Kyre attacks Nameless and Olive Ruskettle, but they manage to escape. And what ultimately happens is Akabar from Azure Bonds, the Termish wizard, has come north to Shadowdale in order to stop Moanda with his new wife, Zara, who is one of the simulacrons of Elias that the demon False from Azure Bonds had created at the end of that book. They all kind of vanished, but they've been running around the realms, which you find out in the Wervenspur. So you've got your core adventuring party: Elias, Dragonbait, Akbar, Olive, Nameless, Breck, Orcsbane. But at the very beginning of the book, everyone gets split up, and every good role player knows, don't split the fucking party, okay? So what you're actually getting is a whole lot of like mini adventures where Olive and Nameless, or Finder Wervenspur, I should say, go to his mansion, and they're kind of greeted with this orc tribe and a beholder who is one of Moander's lackeys. You have Akbar and Grift kind of on the run after Kaya tries to kill Akbar, or tries to kidnap Akbar, I should say, and Akbar manages to rescue Grift from a soul trap. And then you have Dragonbait and Elias and Breck and Zara, who are going off in search of Akbar. Breck believes Akbar was the one that killed Kaya, but it's kind of not true. And so all of these stories are kind of going on at the same time. You're getting hints of what happened to Elminster. Morngrim plays a large part here, and it's really incredibly entertaining and fun. And that's the key to this book, is it's just flat out fun. So Moander is looking for a seed that is somewhere in the realms, and that seed is Akbar. If you remember from Azure Bonds, Akbar was part of Moander for a time. He had his tendrils in his brain and whatnot, and he put part of his power in Akbar's blood. However, because Akbar is with his new wife Zara, they can't be found because Elias and all of the clones have this permanent misdirection spell put on them, so they can't be tracked down. The priestess Morala basically says to Elias before she goes, listen, if you find Nameless, ask him to tell you the truth about what he did, because we were led to believe in the beginning that the reason the Harpers banished Nameless Bard and wiped all of his spells from the realms was because he was tinkering with something and a shard of para-elemental ice exploded and it killed one of his apprentices and grievously wounded another one. But we know that isn't the case. And Morala says to Elias, listen, if you really do view him as a father, then he will tell you the truth and you will forgive him anyway. So that's kind of looming over the story as well. They ultimately all meet up after kind of running into one another, and stories come out, and then they free Nameless and Olive from the Beholder, and they go off to save the Saurials, presumably by destroying Moander's body in the realms, which he is in a place called the Lost Vale, which is a legend. Think of it kind of like a land out of time, so to speak. Now, what's great about this is it doesn't just take place in one area. It starts in Shadowdale, it goes to the Spiderhaunt Woods, it goes to the Desert Mouth Mountains, it goes to Tartarus, it goes to the Abyss. There's so many fantastic locations in this book that it's just a must-read. So the adventurers get to the Lost Vale, and they discover like the Saurials' plans, what's going on with everything, and Finder is like, fuck this, I'm out of here, this is a death wish, and he basically pisses off. Dragonbait gets captured by his former lover, a Saurial called Coral, who is a priestess of Timora, the goddess of luck, who has now become corrupted and is the mouth of Moander. So she is like the highest minion in Moander's new army of servants. They hatch a scheme to free as many Saurials from Moander's clutches as they possibly can, while at the same time They're going to destroy the body. As usual, things go completely tits up. Akbar gets captured, and the god is resurrected in the realms once again. In order to free Akbar, they need Finder and his Finders Stone, this artifact that he created with the sliver of para-elemental ice. Finder comes to his senses, comes back, of course, fucking rescues everyone, and decides to make the ultimate sacrifice, destroy the artifact that he did create, take the sliver of para-elemental ice and use it to go into this huge pile of disgusting, rotting refuse and corpses that is the body of Moanda, and free Akbar. He goes in there, he discovers that the Saurials built the body of Moanda around a gate to Tartarus. He heads into Tartarus, goes down the river Styx with Sharon the boat keeper, gets to the abyss, and discovers that Akbar is basically dead, but Akbar's spirit is there, guiding him, telling him what to do, and he's like, don't worry about me, you know, you've got to do this. If you kill Moanda in the abyss, you not only kill his body, which is already dead, but you basically kill him in every mortal plane of existence. He's out, he's done, he is literally a dead god. Finder, doing the noble thing, goes in there, and we find out that he does in fact manage to kill Moanda, but at the same time, that little spark of godhood, Finder takes it, and Finder becomes a god, which you can read about in the book Finder's Luck, which I did a review of on this channel. Back in the Lost Vale, Dragonbait is forced to kill Coral, but she has been a minion of Moanda for so long that it doesn't bother her. She wants to die. She hates being what she is. And when he beheads her, her body is just full of vines and shit. There's nothing left in there. Morngrim, Elminster, Breck, and the Priestess Morala kind of show up, and they start to heal the Saurials of all the disease and rot and whatever. And because their own home plane has been destroyed by Moanda, the Saurials decide to stay in the Lost Vale, and Elminster and Morngrim basically agree that they will fight to protect the Saurials as the Saurials rebuild the damage they did to the Lost Vale. Elias decides to stay with Dragonbait and his people for a little while. Olive becomes a harper, which is a running joke through the thing that there aren't any halfling bards or halfling harpers, but there you have it. And Finder goes off to find his own, I guess, god plane to reside in, because he doesn't want to stay in the abyss where Moanda had his realm. This was so much fucking fun, this book. It was amazing. There were times where a few of the characters I felt acted or spoke a little out of character, especially Elias. We find out in this one she casts a tongues spell using the Finders Stone, and because it's an artifact, she can now permanently understand and speak Saurial, so that was kind of cool. But it was just such a fun ride, which so many of these older Dungeons & Dragons books are. The Moonshade Trilogy by Douglas Niles, the Dragonlance novels by Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman, even the early R.A. Salvatore novels. They are just fun, just flat out fantasy fun, More so if you are a fan of the Forgotten Realms or Kryn or Greyhawk or Eberron or Ravenloft or whatever. If you're a fan of that, if you've played the games, even the Dungeons & Dragons video games, if you've played the Dungeons & Dragons video games, you're going to pick up the references here. For sure. Baldur's Gate, Planescape Torment, the Ravenloft games, even the old Pool of Radiance, Azure Bond, Secret of the Silver Blades, Champions of Kryn, Death Knights of Kryn, whatever. You are going to get it. But if you just want a fun fantasy novel that you really don't have to think all that much about, you just got to sit down and read it and enjoy it, then the Finders Stone Trilogy. This was book 3, Song of the Saurials. I cannot recommend this trilogy enough. One of my all-time favorites, and when I go back and read it again in the future, I guarantee you it's going to have the same effect on me. Absolutely loved it. I appreciate all of you watching this video. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, follow Plaguelands Media, follow Ian Van Gammet's new drawing videos channel, whatever the fuck you call it, whatever, it's down below. Just fucking click on it, like it, subscribe to it as well. It's fucking awesome. But most importantly, stay safe, have a fantastic rest of your day. There's a cat on the sofa over there, because I'm the cat father. Read a fucking book, people. Well, go on. Fuck off and read a book.